What else are you two concerned about in that situation where you've got to maintain a property for someone's benefit for a long time, possibly?
Good question. Well, first of all, we want to look at the terms of the trust to see what the life estate beneficiary is responsible for and what the trustee is responsible for.
Right.
If the trustee is responsible for property taxes, insurance, and maintenance, one of the first things we're going to look at is what are the other assets, the liquid assets in the trust? Is there going to be sufficient assets that are going to be there for the life of the trust or really for the life estate beneficiary? And there's no really scientific formula because we don't know how long someone's going to live. However, if you're starting off with quite a bit of money and you're investing it, I feel confident that there would be plenty of funds, but still you have to be mindful of liquid assets. And because I have been in a situation where I've been asked to take over a trust where there was a life estate beneficiary, but very little liquidity. And so then you have to look at the beneficiary who's living in the home. What are their assets? Are they willing and able to maintain the property? Are they going to be using it just for themselves, or what are their plans? Because it's very possible they might think that they can move people in or rent it out.
Right.
So those are the things we're going to look at.
So, yeah, I mean, making sure that financially the arrangement that you've been given is going to work. And if it's not going to work, I mean, you have to do some kind of analysis, some kind of maybe, back of the envelope analysis. Do we have enough money given our best guess at how long this has to last? But if you don't think so, then you got to get creative or you have to decline, I suppose.
Correct. Now, there is a case that we're working on that. Now, one of the things that people might not think about is when the grantor died, there was a low tax basis.
Property tax.
So now the home gets reassessed. And so now the property tax is tripled. So what we did the back of the envelope, looking at what the taxes are and insurance and some figure. It was a newer home. It had been well maintained, new appliances. So I wasn't worried too much about that. But I took a theoretical number that I thought it might cost yearly. And I added that all together and thought, said, okay, we've got, maybe 10, 15 years. And then be honest with the beneficiary and talk to them about what the trust can and can't do. In one particular case that we're working on, we told the life estate beneficiary that, when we get down to a certain amount, we're going to need to sell the home and you're going to need to live somewhere else. We'll support you in that new place, but the home is not going to be available anymore. But we wanted to give them plenty of time. Like we gave them several years advance notice because we didn't want them to all of a sudden realize, we're down to $25,000 and
Right.
now it's time to leave.
Yeah.
And plus the person's older, they're in their 80s and their 90s and they want that to be their forever home. But that does happen. And we are working on a case right now where that has happened.
And that conversation is so important because from the very beginning, we need to make, the beneficiary aware of all of that. And then just going back to the first point that Karen stated was, we look at the trust to see what the trust says, who's responsible for what expenses. So when somebody's preparing their estate plan and they're planning something like that, like a life estate for a beneficiary to remain in the property. So it's very important for them to be very clear in their trust document, who's going to be responsible for those expenses.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Absolute Trust Talk Live. If you enjoyed listening in, then don't forget to subscribe. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may listen by searching Absolute Trust Talk. While you're there, we would also love for you to leave us a review. And then why not share your favorite episodes with family, friends, or colleagues too? You can find all of our shows and corresponding show notes by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com. You'll also find a variety of other free resources, including our ebooks, videos, blogs, presentations, and more. If you need help with your estate planning or administration, we also offer a free discovery call to help get the process started. You can find more information on booking your session by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com/scheduling. Don't forget to keep an eye out for our next live episode. If you join us for the broadcast, you can submit questions during the show. But if not, don't worry. You can always get in touch with us by sending a quick message to info@absolutetrustcounsel.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you soon.